Considered the best of all time, YAHYA DIOP aka YEKINI, has reigned unchallenged in the national arena with an invincibility for 15 years. The king of the arena or the emperor of the arena was able to leave his mark forever in Senegalese wrestling. Born in Bassoul in Joel, the young YEKINI was born into a family of fishermen. His father was a scholar of Islam and a fisherman, a model man who never saw his son since he died before the birth of the future king. The little YEKINI was raised by his mother, who fought to ensure his social and school education. YEKINI obtained his primary school certificate from a French Arab school at the age of 12. He stopped his studies in the 4th form. At that time, the young Senegalese did not imagine that his destiny was going to change and that his name will be remembered forever in the world of the most popular combat sport in Senegal, wrestling. The young YEKINI, like all the young people of his time, liked to play soccer and participate in small tournaments of wrestling between villages. These tournaments were often organized at the end of the harvest. One day, arriving in a neighborhood of his village, he attended a tournament where a young wrestler was beating everyone. Deciding to try his luck, YEKINI decided to challenge the young warrior who was already a local champion. Our champion achieved a feat by beating the latter. This victory gave him a growing enthusiasm for this. YEKINI starts to be interested in this sport and decides to abandon fishing and agriculture to follow the local champions in intensive trainings. From there, he started to compete in wrestling competitions without hitting everywhere in Senegal. YEKINI strengthens tournament after tournament and develops incredible skills and strength. Our champion reached a big step in his career when he became a member of the Senegalese national team. He became African champion with Iyoume Ousseyn, future tenor and king of the arenas. After this step, YEKINI decides to launch himself into the great adventure of wrestling with strikes. He emigrates to the capital, Dakar, without funds or support. He clings to his dream and finally gets his first wrestling match with strikes. He beat the veteran Kad Gueye, and went on to win several matches before facing the terrible Pape Cissé, a pure brawler. YEKINI declares about this subject, "It is my first fight where I was really worried because Pape had a superior level in boxing, and in this time I learned to box. So it was not obvious." After Pape Cissé, YEKINI faces the future double king of the arenas and MMA fighter Bombardier. Their first confrontation ends with a disqualification of the latter, who hits YEKINI behind the limits of the arena. 2 years later, Bombardier will become the king of the arenas by beating Tyson, the revolutionary of Senegalese wrestling. Bombardier will defend his title twice before facing YEKINI again before their first controversial fight. This time, YEKINI, who made his way after beating all his opponents, gets his title shot. 2004 marks the date of the royal fight. And this time, in a lightning fight, YEKINI uses his tactical skills to provoke Bombardier to fight, absorbing in his punches and managing to unbalance him to tackle him. The victory this time is unequivocal. YEKINI is the new king of the arenas and there begins a reign that will last 8 years. YEKINI will defend his title for 2 years against big names in the fight until 2006, or he faces the former arena king, Tyson, who comes from a victory over Tafa Gueye, but 2 years away. It is one of the most anticipated fights of that time. Tyson is the darling and beloved of the general public of this generation, YEKINI the new star and the new king. The fight represents a lot of stakes. Many gave YEKINI losing if he ever engaged in an exchange of blows with Tyson. And the latter was given loser as far as the pure wrestling was concerned. On the day of the fight, against all odds, YEKINI boxed, beat him up and throw down Tyson in an unprecedented fashion to cement his legacy and confirm his supremacy. The same year, he faced the most technical of wrestlers, all generations combined. It is one of the most expected fights, the most technical wrestlers, all generations, Moustapha Gueye the Tiger of Fass. The fight ends in a draw that will create controversy for years. Moustapha Gueye ran away from the fight and even fell in an action, but the referees did not seem to want a favorable outcome to the king of arenas. The following year, in 2007, he faced Baboy, the Hurricane of Peking. Baboy, or Bala Bey too, had managed to beat all the odds by beating heavyweights. Making less than 100 kilograms, he still managed to win and get his title shot. For their second confrontation, which almost ended in a defeat for YEKINI, Baboy attacked the champion as soon as the referee whistled and managed to pass his guard to belt him in the back. The disaster is avoided by a narrow margin. Baboy falls first and YEKINI follows him. The referees are very vigilant and grant the victory to the champion who keeps his crown but gets a lot of criticism. To silence his detractors and haters, he decided to give Baboy one last chance for a third confrontation in 2008. This time, YEKINI did not give him any chance. Having initially taken the initiative to beat him in boxing, and to finish him by knockout, one of his advisors recommends him to just impose his fight. YEKINI arrives calm and collected in this fight. He managed to avoid his opponent's attacks, grabbed him, lifted him up and put him down in the most beautiful way. Baboy is left to his own devices and does not understand what is going on.